Oh, too bad. We started.
We botched ready check.
All right.
It kind of
Too bad. We started.
we botched ready check.
All right.
It kind of sucks that this doesn't have like. Can I pull up chat at the? I can pull up chat at the same time.
Yes,
nice.
you can.
We can do a proper gamer ready check. I dig it.
Yeah.
Oh, that's actually pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
We're already recording though, so.
All right. Let's start off. Welcome to the Obsidian Table, a place where me and my friends talk and debate about everyday life and other topics that fringe upon taboo, stuff that should be talked about in today's society.
My
name
everyday
is-
life is taboo. I'm sorry.
Can you?
I cannot.
How about you shut your hole? How about we let her start again?
My hole is already shut.
It's okay. It's okay. I can keep going. My name is Nova, and I will be your host today. I have Maury, Captain,
Hi.
and Beatrix with me today. How are you guys?
I'm doing really well,
Well-
thank you.
This is going swimmingly.
I love it. I love it so much.
Hey,
Oh.
it's okay.
All right. So just to let the new listeners, this is our first recording for the Obsidian Table podcast. And I'll go over how this sort of works. I write out different topics, mostly every week, to see and fill in topics that have already been talked about that range upon politics nonsense to eclectic, relationship, workplace, so on and so forth. I toss them in a hat and I pull out random when the guests tell me to stop. Like I said, no topic is off the table, and this is completely off the cuff, other than the opener and the closer, obviously.
My opener was very off the cuff.
Yeah, I was gonna say, and even then,
Your entire existence is off the cuff.
Well, yeah,
True.
that's basically like my thing.
All right,
True.
anyway.
All right, shall we dive into what the table has to offer tonight?
Yes.
Yeah.
hey,
All right.
The listeners won't know, but your hat is such a lovely red, beautiful hat.
It's like a mahogany red, and it's got such a stiff brim.
It's a Carmen Sandiego hat.
it pretty much is, and
It
I live
is.
for it.
It was
It's
the
so
only one
perfect.
in the store when I bought it. I was like, it's mine.
Right.
It's
It
mine.
It was meant to
majestic.
be.
Yeah. All right. Tell me. Let's do Beatrix. Tell me when to stop.
Stop.
Okay. The topic is things that have majorly impacted society today that was looked down on when you were growing up.
Ooh.
Important clarification. Impacting society doesn't necessarily mean it's impacted it positively. Will this also include things that have impacted society negatively and are still looked down upon?
I guess both. I would say more so changed society,
Okay,
like changed outlooks on things.
that
But
makes sense.
either or works.
It seems like the kind of question that is kind of indicating the sentiment that people talk about, how something is at first abhorred, then it is tolerated, then it's accepted, then it's embraced.
Mhm.
Yeah, it seems like that's the kind of sentiment behind the question.
Well, I think the most important one on my mind is always going to be polyamory. It was very, very, very looked down upon for a while. I mean, it didn't used to be, but then suddenly all these people who claim to be traditionalists think that it's a problem. When if you go back to like proper tradition, it didn't used to be a huge deal. lots of people had concubines and harems. It used to be fairly normal.
Yeah.
But with the rise of Puritanism, then we saw a decline in polyamory. I'm just really psyched that it's starting to become a thing again, since I am polyamorous and it works really well for me.
Yeah.
When I try and be monogamous, I just cheat all the time. So
yeah, I would have to second that, and taking a bit, maybe elaborating a little bit on the things that were traditional. I remember many years ago when I was studying traditional Chinese medicine, just because I studied things because I'm curious. I was studying the history of how it was implemented in ancient societies. And one of the things that was mentioned was the fact that while, yes, an emperor might have many concubines, those concubines weren't monogamous to him. They were very much into each other as well, because, one emperor cannot dozens of ladies satisfy.
Yeah, and they were kind of, to a degree, expected to satisfy each other as well. And
they were happy to satisfy each other.
And if one of them fell in like actual love with someone else, several emperors would be completely supportive of them getting married to someone else and leaving their service.
Yeah, it's like this idea of possession of another person is starting. It had been when we were growing up. It was basically the idea that, and at least when I was growing up, the idea, especially with gender norms, which I'll get to that one as well, but the idea that a man and a woman would be married and the woman would be subservient to her husband in all things, and he would basically own her and dictate all of her life. And that was something that was to be embraced and loved and cherished, and that is not how it always had been. The idea of, I like that we're coming back to this idea that everybody is their own person, and we can all be happy, and yeah,
you can love more than one person.
Absolutely.
And it's not just you can love more than one person, it's being more commonly recognized that that is the natural state. Like, there's a reason that, how ridiculous would it be if parents were only allowed to have one child because, there's no way that you can actually properly love more than one child?
Well, I mean, China, though.
I mean, that's not why, but that's a whole other discussion.
That's a whole nother can.
Yeah, that's another can of worms for another question, another night.
I don't know. It fits this question, too.
Anyway.
Oh, geez.
It fits her subject matter on getting on top of it. But that's about it.
I do definitely have to say, in a lot of ways, I support a return to actual tradition, but in the sense that Christianity is a fad.
Only you would say that, Captain.
No.
Well, I mean, I'm a man who wears a skirt. Obviously, I'm old school. All these trad boys who think they're trad, no, they're not trad.
Oh man, I mean, I would have to say, growing up, I was in that pocket of the girls that had watched like the Hunger Games movies and the Twilight movies, and there's always this love triangle to create drama, and I'd always thought, well, but why choose? Because there was never actually a solid enough connection with the shoo-in. This is your obligatory other person to create the drama. Which one will they choose? Oh no, it's such a big dilemma. But the thing is, if there's even a grain of salt and merit for them to be an actual like torn up decision, this person is somehow also really important to me, then maybe you should just normalize showing affection to everybody how you feel is appropriate.
Absolutely.
That's actually something that I think is really good that has been, it's still kind of not as common in pop culture from what I've seen, but in the general zeitgeist is communication among adults that want relationships with each other, actually developing communication skills. Because there was this thing when I was growing up that men didn't know how to talk and women did all the talking. And women were the ones that basically carried all the weight of the relationship. And now I love the fact that the men that I'm in relationships with, regardless of the nature of the relationship, they're actually really good at communicating, and they really own up to when they're not communicating well, just as much as the women are. And I really love that. And this was something that I kind of wanted to get to earlier, something that I remember when I was a kid hearing about Dennis Rodman and how he was this, I guess he was a basketball player, and he did cross-dressing, or he dressed not like how men should dress, quote unquote.
Well, yeah, he wore makeup and stuff.
And I remember people in my family's social circle being horrified at that. And I'm like, but it looks like he's having so much fun, though. He looks so happy. And I mean, he's not like, he's just him.
He's also super besties with Kim Jong-un.
Yeah, everyone was singing his praises. Everyone was singing his praises because he was like one of the very few Americans to like actually get an invitation into North Korea like pulling without having to pull any like diplomatic strings or anything. He just waltzed right up, and Kim Jong-un is like, okay, sure, you can come party with me, whatever. You're cool. I like you.
Well, yeah, he likes him because he is himself, and he doesn't judge people. And say what you will about Kim Jong-un, like, he is hated by pretty much everybody. So obviously he would value people who are themselves no matter how much hate they get, and also don't judge others, because that's about the only people who'd like Kim Jong-un.
Yeah, see what happens when you actually decide to be yourself and like put yourself to the forefront and be your own special individual, is people actually start to take notice of you, and maybe maybe things will be a little bit better if we all actually embraced who we are.
I think so.
And it's not even just that. It's the fact that on an even deeper level, being completely honest with yourself means that you can be seen by everybody as totally trustworthy.
Yes.
Because you are absolutely not lying to yourself. And that is the easiest person to lie to. That is the first person that people lie to, is they start to craft this persona around themselves about who they are seeking approval of other people, but it's lying to themselves. And when you're honest with yourself and you're totally true to your own character, other people, especially people that have been hurt and rejected and so on, can know, hey, this is a person that, yeah, they might be a little bit of an odd duck, but they are really comfortable in who they are. And if they want to hang with me, that would be pretty awesome.
Plus, on a deep philosophical level, the reverse is true. If you're lying to yourself, then you're always lying to everyone.
Yeah, because if you're lying to yourself, then your relationship with reality is just fundamentally flawed.
Yes.
And can I also take a step back, B, and say that along the same vein of what you were talking about with communication in relationships, that simply communicating many different things used to be, and in some cases still is, but not as much anymore, fairly frowned upon. That, oh, you don't discuss this. We don't talk about this.
Mental illness being the major one, that the forefront.
Sexuality being another.
Yeah,
politics
even.
And religion.
Like I grew up in a household where I was aware that politics was a thing that existed, but it was absolutely 100% taboo in my household. And I learned when I was grown that it was because my parents basically voted opposite each other, and so they agreed to just not talk about it because it would always turn into a fight, and it was never worth it because neither of them would change their mind, and they were both really damn good at debate. So it was just not the thing.
And I remember one of the first things that I had quite falsely learned about interacting with people. You look into what to talk about on a first date on any like normal like article online. It's like the first thing that you do not discuss is like religion, past partners, and politics. And this is what I talk about on the first date now because I know who the real people are.
Yeah, it's super important. And also, you always have to ask the most important question. Should Fuda have balls?
Oh my God.
I apologize. This is the way Captain is. There's no filter. I can't.
This is Captain Wetbeard being
Captain Wetbeard.
His best version of himself, his most honest version of himself. There is no filter, and that is what we love about him.
Exactly. Yes. And it's what I love about me. Also, Fuda should have balls.
Okay.
Moving on.
We can have that discussion, that debate another time.
Okay.
You need to put that into the hat.
Sure.
Yes, put Fuda balls in the hat.
I know nothing's off the table.
Nothing's off the table. So just send me the list of what topics you want. Just send them. It'll be fine. They'll end up in the hat.
It'll just be a nice quick episode.
Oh no, it can be a long debate. I've seen debates go 45 minutes on that.
Oh geez.
45 minutes isn't a very long time, though.
No, but this was 2 people.
It makes my heart happy.
The great questions of our time.
Getting into the real discussions, am I right?
Absolutely.
Well, and again, circling back, because I've been trying to get back to the subject the entire time, talking about things that were not accepted growing up that are accepted now, which is the breaking down of gender norms. That's what I was getting at.
That's what I was going to say too, is because if you, like you were saying of this basketball player just dressing how he wanted to dress, and he dressed in feminine clothing and did makeup. Harry Styles is at the forefront now in our generation.
Yeah.
He's basically like, I'm bi. Do I care? No. Am I going to dress how I want to dress? Hell yeah. Screw you, anybody else? That type of thing.
Because I'm growing a super long wizard beard. I wear skirts. I don't actually care one way or the other about pronouns. You can call me he, she, they. It's whatever you're comfortable with. It doesn't. I don't care about words. But I don't know. I'm just me, and I just dress how is comfortable.
Like I get told on almost a daily basis by some of my family, some, not all, because they're like, you're 27 now, Amber. We can't control you. Is when I cut my hair short for the first time. Like, I didn't want to have to spend 2 hours blow drying my hair anymore. So I cut it short. I did a boy cut. I did a towel dry, and I was happy. I was the happiest I ever could be. And I kept on hearing, well, why do you want to be lesbian? I'm like, I'm not.
But why don't you want to be?
Exactly. Yuri is wholesome.
I'm not going to doubt that, because I still read Yuri and I'll read Yaoi also, but I'm talking more so the fact that I like the D.
I mean,
that's fair.
I mean, I like both.
I read a lot of Yuri. I don't really read Yaoi because Yaoi tends to be kind of rapey. But
Yeah.
if it wasn't rapey, I would read it.
You're reading the wrong ones. You're reading the wrong.
There are a couple of comics that I'm reading now that are yaoi and are super wholesome and sweet and lovely.
Sauce plus?
I will.
Nice.
I will. There's one that
honestly hook me up too, eh?
Boys. They're merfolk boys.
And
and there's one of them is a shark and one of them is super shiny.
That sounds about right. You furry fuck.
or there's one that I got into like a long time ago. It's called Love Stage. Basically actors and models in the industry in Japan, and this young boy being like, I am a dude. Why am I in a wedding dress? I'm in a wedding dress. Okay.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, and that's another thing as well. I think that there was a period of time that, and I think that a lot of media is moving past that, but there was a period of time where once same-sex relationships started to become more accepted, there was this giant flood of lots and lots and lots of same-sex relationships, and it was almost like a defiant type of tone. But now it's become much more normalized, and it's just like, okay, people love who they love and they're attracted to who they're attracted to, and it's not a big deal. And that is something that I'm really happy to see, because I don't want it to be a big deal that I'm walking down the street holding hands with one of my girlfriends or with my male fiance. It doesn't I don't think that it should matter, and I appreciate that it's not turning heads as much.
Yeah,
because it's like, I just want to go about my life. I'm just minding my business. Y'all mind yours.
Also, springboarding off of the progression of the acceptance, legalization, and whatnot of homosexual relationships, I'm really hoping that where we're seeing more acceptance with polyamory, that we're going to see a legalization of polygamy soon.
That's so complicated, though.
There's a lot of like,
it sort of is.
It's really
well. I mean, it's basically just a legal contract, right? And we have contracts where you add laws regarding contracts where you add or remove people from the contract. If we already have that kind of framework in place, then all of the complicated stuff to do with polygamy is already in place.
But a lot of it has to do with taxes and inheritance, and also who has the precedence when it comes to the rights of the person in case of an emergency when they're like medically enfeebled.
Well, I can answer those questions right now. For one, abolish joint filing. For two, you'll want to make it to where a person designates their legal power of attorney / next of kin. And that also solves a lot of disputes in general between children and spouses. And yeah, those are the main two things. And for three, we need to rework the family court anyway because it's broken.
It really is. If in order for that to actually work, there would have to be a mandate for just a legal prenuptial agreement among all parties, no matter how many people are involved in a marriage contract, even if it's just two people.
Yeah, that's something we should do anyway.
It should be. I think it should be standard, but it's so prohibitively expensive. It's basically what the thing that concerns me about potentially legalizing polygamy is that in order to legally protect all parties involved, there would have to be prenuptial agreements, and those are really expensive. It would be cost prohibitive for the poor to have good, actual, functional, non-abusive polygamous relationships.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think that it can happen. I just think that there's a lot that needs to be ironed out in society, in the structures of the family courts, before that can really happen.
In my opinion, things like the family court don't get amended until there's a need. So if we wait for the family court to get fixed, it'll never happen. It would be better to implement polygamy first, and because there is a need, then the courts would be fixed.
I mean, there are so many needs in the family court right now where it's so broken that it's not being fixed. So I'm
an accelerationist. I think that if something's going to be fixed, it has to be sufficiently broken first.
I'm not going to disagree with that, but I know that you will appreciate this. Being a child of divorce, and a messy divorce at that, I have concern mostly for the innocent parties involved that did not consent to come into that relationship arrangement, namely the children that are born under those polygamous relationships, who are then caught up in a very broken whirlwind of legal nastiness. And there is, I think that it would be something, I don't think that it's impossible, and I don't think that the complications, the complexities of the issue should prohibit moving in that direction. But I think that it should be done with awareness of the vulnerable people involved.
In my opinion, the way that you fix the issue with the children is something that we need to do anyway, which is completely separate anything to do with children from the marriage contract and treat the children of unmarried people the same as the children of married people, because we shouldn't have a disparity between the two.
Please elaborate on that, because that's a cool thing to say, but what does that actually mean when it comes to how children are treated in the society?
All right, so in the family courts, at least in the US, with an unmarried couple, the father has less rights than if they were a married couple.
Nope.
In the US?
Not in Seattle.
I don't. Maybe Seattle has specific laws there. I'm talking more federally.
Yeah, so basically from what my knowledge of that, sorry to interrupt, is that it depends on the state. It depends on your state laws, not the federal laws, if you're married or unmarried.
Right. That's another part that's broken about the family courts, though. It's completely within the jurisprudence of the state rather than having federal jurisdictions. All other types of law, there is a federal thing over it, and there are certain regulations that have to be universally followed. Because of the fact it's completely separated to just state stuff, there are a lot of rights in family court that you don't receive that you do in any other kind of court. And also between different jurisdictions, there's a whole lot of different types of treatment that you could have. And the mother could flee with the children to another state before filing for divorce in order to force the father into a particular jurisdiction that's disfavorable.
But going on the flip side, if the father has, if they have split custody and the father flees with the children,
he'll be charged with kidnapping.
He'll be charged with kidnapping. So that's the thing. It's such a complicated thing. So going back to the original discussion, my hope for the future is that by the time our generation's children are grown, this is a non-issue. Yeah. That's my hope for the future. I want this to not be an issue by the time they're grown.
The only way it's not going to be an issue is if we abolish the family court and put all this through regular court.
Oh, I just dropped the thing. Sorry.
Treat it like contract law.
I think that if that, I like that idea in theory. I just think that in practice, knowing that there would need to be teams of lawyers at just regular courthouses that would be there for those prenuptial agreements, for those legal contracts, to look over those contracts, basically effectively a court-appointed lawyer for that particular contract.
They're called clerks.
Yeah.
They exist already.
Yeah, but if we're making it mandatory?
Well, I mean, you'll need more of them, but the role already exists.
Yeah, but what's the cost involved in those?
I mean, it's really nothing compared to the marriage, to be honest.
Well, marriage
and divorce is way more expensive.
A marriage license is cheap. Divorce is expensive.
Yeah, but
it should be the opposite.
It should be, but it's not.
Yeah.
Prenuptial agreements cost about half as much as the marriage certificate.
Well, that's for filing the prenuptial agreement, but the lawyer fees themselves they're typically by the hour, and those can be hundreds or even thousands of dollars.
Unless you find a really good lawyer.
Unless you find a lawyer who is
You can also
compassionate.
You can also use boilerplate agreements.
You can, but those aren't necessarily going to be as airtight.
It depends. If we have the government put together like a brochure that's filled with like 50 or 60 different types of boilerplate prenups that are standardized, then that might make things easier.
Now, we're just talking about the United States because
I don't know anything about these areas when it comes to Canadian law.
Yeah,
I mostly know about drug and sex law.
Yeah, because Captain Wetbeard and I are in the United States, and you guys are in Canada, and I know very little about Canadian law.
I know a fair bit about sex law and about censorship law and about drug law in Canada, but that's about it.
Yeah, so basically up here for marriage, the divorce rate, obviously out of high school back when I was growing up, was really high because kids were getting married in high school. They were getting married in grade 11, grade 12, and then they were having kids, and then they'd move in together, and then they'd divorce because they never lived together and they changed, all this type of stuff. So
that thing that cracks me up in the most sad way, because it's like, how dare you change? It's like, rocks change. It takes eons, but everything changes. That is the only constant in this universe, is that everything changes. Why are you going to be mad at humans who are among the most, we are irrational animals.
Mm-hmm.
Well, actually, no. Being irrational animals, it would make sense that we would never change, because that is the most irrational thing in the universe, to never change. So thank you for coming to my TED Talk.
Also, we're ephemeral, right? Rocks last a hell of a lot longer than people do. That's why it takes them so long to change. Humans are really, in the grand scheme of things, only around for the blink of an eye. Of course, we change immensely in a short amount of time.
Well, I think proportionally to the length of our existence, we probably change about at the same, relative rate as rocks do.
I think so, yeah.
Scientifically, we actually change, our cells change every hour.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
So basically, we are changing all the time. We just don't stop. It's more so, I would say, our mental state changes because we are kids. We're kids in high school getting married because we want to be with this person, our childhood sweetheart. And I have a kid because I was stupid and didn't know what condoms were, apparently.
Oh my gosh. Can I go on a little bit of a soapbox? This is Maury's soapbox, boys and girls.
Sure.
Okay.
Love it.
Better sex education for the
yes!
Holy.
Yes.
Okay.
They should let me do sex ed.
Okay, shush. Let her go.
No. Captain. I respect the hell out of you, but it is Maury's soapbox moment.
Yes, let her.
So
Come on.
I, as a almost 23-year-old woman, I am still learning weird and wonderful things about my own body biologically that were never even remotely touched on in any science class or any sexual education class. I didn't even know about like 90% of the contraceptives available in this world until after I got out of high school. If I was more adventurous when I was younger, I could have made a lot of really stupid decisions because I know how I am now. And it boggles my mind how, going back to one of the roots of our biggest unfurl here, is that things just aren't talked about because apparently we just can't talk about things. That apparently information and knowledge is embarrassing or crude or something that we shouldn't be discussing, but it's the very thing that we should be discussing, because we have people that are ignorant about their own bodies trying to make decisions based on things that they don't even know about. I mean, we don't learn anything really about real life in high school, period. Like, we have all of these, please don't have sex ever, or at least until you're married. Here are all the wonderful diseases that will happen if you have sex, so that we can scare you further into abstinence. If you absolutely must be a hoe, please use a condom. And nothing else. But the thing is, you don't know anything about everything that comes with what happens if you end up getting pregnant. What are your options? What is available to you? How do you even raise a child? What about taxes and other adult shit? What about all of these things about your own personal body? Did you know that, like, your reproductive organs aren't exactly all that, like, stagnant? I thought that, the uterus just existed, but apparently, like, the cervix moves around. It just does that. I don't know why it does that, but it just fucking does that. And it scared the ever-living shit out of me when I found out that it did that. And then they should also normalize things like talking about endometriosis and PCOS and other women's reproductive issues. Menopause, because there are females that are just starting to go through their periods, and they go through undescribable amounts of pain. You can try and use any euphemism that you want, that a shark is gnawing at your uterus, but it doesn't even fucking come close.
I horrified people with my descriptions of my pain when they asked me what it felt like. And they were like, okay, yeah, we need to get you on some actual painkillers or something. I'm like, something. And it's like, anytime, Miss Mori, that you have any questions about the female reproductive system, that was the first topic in my entire life that I actually became a nerd about when I was about 2.5. I started learning about the reproductive system when I was 2.5 because my mom had an ectopic pregnancy. And that was something that I wanted to know why my mom was in the hospital, and then when she came home from the hospital, why she had to stay lying on the couch and why she was hurting so much and why she needed to be cared for so much. And I wanted to know why that happened and how it all worked. And so, yes, I know things about things.
Whereas that's absolutely precious.
My area of focus is more just how to maximize the fun you have with your sensitive bits. I spent a lot of time studying that. So.
I spent a lot of time studying that too once I figured out how and why things work the way they do. So yes, I do know the answer as to why the cervix moves around. But yes.
Well, just to let you know, but all of you,
all
3 of those topics are in this hat.
So we will put a pin in that. We'll put a pin in that.
I will definitely say on the topic that Maury was talking about was that, but anyway, so on the topic that Maury was talking about all of these things that you're just not taught in school, I highly recommend that each of you, as well as any of the listeners who haven't heard it, look up a song called Don't Stay in School. It covers that exact topic.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Solid song.
It's by a boy in a band.
Yeah, he is the guy with the really long hair and the red in his hair. I absolutely idolized him when I was younger because he had like that sort of edge about him, and I was just gaga for any emo dreamboat that I could find. But then it's also that he is like absolutely amazingly musically inclined, on top of him being very, very well researched about what he puts into his content, and I highly recommend it as well.
Also,
for anybody of those who know, Maury is like pastel goth, so she has a type.
I'm the cat.
I was gonna say, you said you that your type was edgy emo boy, but I mean,
okay, it might still
not-
be edgy emo boy and
like
also
past tense
edgy
does not
emo
apply
girl.
here. Well, past tense does apply here, but it's not the totality of your experience, my dear.
You also seem to be into people who look like Rasputin.
My tastes verge on the weird and the wonderful.
That is accurate.
Yeah.
And same. It's pretty great.
Oh, Boy in a Band and Dan Bull also did a really good collaboration that was violent Bible rap, and it used Bible verses, and it was fantastic. Because as an artistic piece, it demonstrates the way that the Bible is twisted to say whatever a preacher wants to say, because you can take the verses out of context to just make a violent horrorcore rap too. Like if you want to know what it says, you need to read like the entire chapter. Honestly.
Yeah, you need to actually take it in the full context, not just of the chapter, but of the. You need to actually be a scholar in order to really understand any ancient text, honestly, because it's not just the words in the text and how they go together, but how they fit in the context of the society and what was going on. Not just in religion, but politically and economically and
linguistically, because there was different words that meant different things in that specific language at the time. There's different colloquialisms and slang and things that meant things at that moment that later turned into other things.
This is, again, circling back to the original topic. I appreciate the fact that now this... So for the younger folks here, because I'm
folks here.
I'm the oldest one here.
What?
So yes, you know this. I'm the old lady who loves her gin and tonics and going on rants about kids these days. Kids these days don't know about life before the internet, when you had to look things up in the encyclopedia and hope that it was a. Well, you do, and. But like, and hope that it was that your school's library had a recent edition of the encyclopedia.
I think it did.
I have doubts about the quality and the up to dateness of the encyclopedias in encyclopediae, whatever the plural is for. In the schools when I was a kid. And now you can cross-check all of your information on multiple search engines, and you can find almost anything about almost anything. And that's something that is just miraculous to me. It is so, in the classical sense of the word, awesome. It is awesome that we now have, not just at our computers at home, that we have to hope that one of our family members doesn't need to make a phone call and we have to wait half an hour for an answer to our question, hope that it's accurate enough. We have in our pockets instant access to so much information, and it's normal and it's amazing, and it makes me so happy.
It does bring me to one of the things that I say all the time, though. Knowing the correct questions to ask is far more important than knowing the answers, because finding the answers, that's at our fucking fingertips all the time, but you've got to know the right questions to ask.
And that is a skill that is... It's
undertaught.
It is not taught. It is something... It is not taught to most people. It is something that, unfortunately, it's kind of a paradox, because you have to know to ask the question, how do I ask good questions, in order to learn how to ask good questions, unless you happen to have really wonderful teachers, which I did when I was growing up.
I looked into that too.
And I don't take that for granted at all. But I know so many people that they use me as their search engine because I know how to find an answer to their question. I know how to rephrase their question or get to the question that they are actually looking for the answer to. and that's not a skill that they've ever learned. And it can be tedious sometimes, but it's also something that I really enjoy. It's one of the reasons that I do what I do. Is I'm an information deliverer, and it makes me very happy.
Yeah.
Can I just say, I'm getting flashbacks to back when I was in school, and I'm having these horrible memories of my school's encyclopedia that was only one volume. It wasn't like that collection where they had a book by maybe a couple of letters, or a letter, a book. It was one book, and it was horrible because I hardly got anything out of it in the grand scheme. This is the entire world in one book, but it isn't. And it was
That was my school too.
such a
I'm so
pale
sorry.
version of what was actually available to me. And in elementary school, they would not let the kids that were younger than grade 5 take out nonfiction books.
I remember that rule. That was a garbage rule.
I used to steal from the library.
Same. Actually, no. I didn't steal from the library. The librarians just strategically looked away when I was in the nonfiction section. I was a bit of a pet of the librarians. They loved me.
Whenever I walked into a nonfiction section of either my elementary school library or my middle school library or my high school library, all of the librarians were like, "Is this child okay? Wait, she's reaching on the top shelf. Can she get that? Because I'm short now, and I was short back then."
I'm having this mental image of small doe-eyed baby Amber.
Nova.
Just Nova, sorry. Small baby Nova standing on her tippy tiptoes and making the cute little grunts, trying to reach with her itty bitty fingertips, trying to nudge the books on the top shelf and hope that it doesn't all fall on her head. And it's too cute. I can't.
Someone make a chibi of this. Someone needs to make a Nova chibi.
Please do.
I will.
Adorable.
I will. I'll even draw me in the outfit that I wore that day because I remember it. I will.
That will eventually be in the show notes for this episode.
Eventually. But yeah, they basically all looked at me and they were like, "Do you need help finding anything?" "No, I found it." Why? You normally read fiction books. I'm like, "I need to do schoolwork. Do you not want me to take these books? Do you not want me to learn?" You are a librarian, right?
When they told me I couldn't check out nonfiction, I was like, "Well, I mean, are you going to check it out, or am I just going to come back when you're not looking and take it?" And they're like, "I guess I'm going to check it out then."
That was not my experience, but I think that's just the way that my charms worked as a kid, because I was very confident that of all the staff in the school, the librarians were absolutely my allies. They absolutely were my allies. And I was determined that that was the case. And so it was the case. And so I would go up to them and I would be like, "I need to learn about this thing because I am curious about this thing and I need to learn about it. What is the best resource for this?" And they were like, oh, she is trying to learn and it is wonderful. And this is why I took this job in the first place. It is warming the cold blackness of my heart that has been hardened around my heart for all these years that I've been working in the public education system. My hope in humanity is restored. Here is knowledge. I love you, little child. So yeah, that was my experience.
In other words, Beatrix was a black hole for knowledge and still is a black hole for knowledge, and there is no bottom.
There is no bottom, but I do.
You have a nice bottom.
Well, thank you. But I wouldn't say that I'm a black hole, because I do, as one might have noticed, I do readily spew forth my knowledge with or without provocation.
You're a wormhole.
Yeah, there we go. Wormhole.
There we go.
I take knowledge from one place and put it in another. Bleh.
All right, there's going to be a chibi Beatrix just with a rainbow and books coming out of her mouth.
Reverse Kirby.
That's
Reverse
accurate.
Kirby.
That's accurate.
See, I always found in school that, well, especially also now, though, like, I keep talking in the past tense, but it's still, like, painfully true, that when it comes to me, I have a very polarizing effect on people, where people either absolutely adore me to bits, or they don't. And so I found with school staff that with my teachers, either they thought that I was the most precious little thing, or they despised every moment that I was in their company. And it's mostly with my general persistentness to learn about things that they either really liked doing their job and not having to work at it, or they really hated that. And so with the librarian, she for some reason was very much a stickler for the rules and would not let me get around it. So I would just happen to develop sticky fingers, and whatever book that I was particularly interested in would find its way home with me. And I might actually still have some nonfiction books from my elementary school because they never found their way back, because fuck that bitch.
So
First F-bomb of the night, everybody.
no, it's not.
I've dropped like 4.
Yeah,
I didn't hear them.
Captain Webbeard is really good at just casually slipping F-bombs in. But no, I speaking of stolen library books, I still have a couple of library books from my high school that I never checked out and never returned because I was just on super friendly terms with my librarian, and I forgot, and life got crazy and I just forgot. So I still have them, but I feel kind of guilty because it's like, I like these books fine. I actually really don't want them on my shelves though. I've read them once since graduating. I really want to get them back, but at the same time, it's been many years since I left high school.
They've replaced it already.
They've absolutely replaced it. So,
And if you return it, they fine you.
Also,
well, actually,
that money comes from the government anyway. Fuck them.
Well, actually, my here's the thing. My high school was a little special, and I was special in that high school.
You are special.
I'm special.
So was I.
No, I was. It still baffles me how beloved by the staff I was, because my teenage years were not kind to my psyche. Mm-hmm. So, but maybe that's why my teachers loved me so much, because all of the teachers in my high school were a bunch of weirdos as well. So they were probably like, yeah, this is a relatable child. Must protect.
In my case, basically the more rebellious teachers definitely liked me and all the cucks didn't. But that's just how it goes in general. I mean, bootlickers don't like me because I'm too much of a firebrand.
That's fair.
Because I was just like, I'm gonna do what I want. Either go along with me or it's happening anyway.
I should also say back on the original topic that another thing that I found is that in schools that the recognition of learning disabilities of all types is significantly better now, and originally it was, again, we don't talk about this sort of thing, or we don't know anything about this, we don't want to deal with you, so get good on your own because we're not going to help you.
Yes.
Or you were put into the helpful classes, and then your teachers that were still teaching your class that you went back to after your helpful LAC class didn't talk to the rest of the student body of why you weren't there. So now you're being picked on for getting out of class, basically. Mm-hmm. When no, I was just learning a different way from you guys. Like,
See, I
that
think
just everything.
I think it also varies based on where you're at too, because like I don't know how much help there is in Canada. In some ways it seems like there's less, but I know in the US, even when I was in school, and that was, I'm 30, Title IX did some really good stuff for me, because I've got dyspraxia, and when I was diagnosed, it didn't even really have a name yet. It wasn't like really understood, but it's like a coordination disorder that causes me not to really be able to write super well. And it also causes me a lot of other coordination type problems. And when laptops were really hard to come by and really fucking expensive, the Title IX department ended up just giving me a laptop to use for my schoolwork, and it made a gigantic difference in my life.
Yeah, the Title IX, because when was that? What grade were you when you got that?
5th grade.
Okay, so I would
So
have
I'd be
been
10.
Yeah, I would have been in 9th grade because I'm old. But I just talking about recognition of disabilities and and not even necessarily, because I hesitate to I have a very complicated relationship with my ADHD, because I consider it in the context of quote unquote normal everyday society, it is a disability. But when I'm left to my own devices and when I'm able to actually do what I'm well suited for, it is a superpower. And but when I was in school, girls were not diagnosed with ADHD. And especially girls that had ADHD like mine, which is the inattentive type. So yes, I do have the hyperactivity, but it's in my brain. It's not me fidgeting and acting out and flying all over the classroom. It's me staring out the window and not doing any classwork at all, and forgetting to turn in my assignments and being told, stop being lazy. And there's still a stigma around it. And it is getting better, and I am glad that the discussions are being had now, and that there is more support for that, and also that it's being recognized that it manifests differently a lot of times in girls than it does in boys, because boys typically will be the fidgety acting out type, and girls are much less likely to be the fidgety acting out type, although there are the girls that will not stop talking no matter how much their teacher scolds them.
Ugh, I know, right?
Shut up, you. Yeah, you get me going and I will not stop.
No, I love that about you. But
anyway, but no, it's
Yeah.
I appreciate that something that made me feel so fundamentally wrong when I was growing up, now in society, it still has a long way to go, but people are being more vocal about it and saying, hey, this is my normal. And trying to force me into your idea of what normal should be is abnormal for me. And just having and talking on a broader level, understanding that everybody's lived experience is unique to them. And that's not just okay, but it's wonderful, and it's necessary in order for society at large as a whole to continue to progress and evolve and to innovate.
And I totally had that too, with my dyslexia at first, because that didn't get taken anywhere near seriously until grade 5. And even then, it was only because my grade 4 teacher had got the ball rolling, but it took until grade 5 for anything to be done about it. Up until that point, I was stupid. I was lazy. I was not trying hard enough, because I was able to put out work in the more literary sense ridiculously well for my age group. But the mathematics side of things was a very very much a struggle for me. And there's some things that to this day, my brain is just not wired to do. Like, I cannot tell time on the normal analog clock. For the life of me, I will never be able to. And it took me a very long time to even like accept that in myself, because I was told that, like, obviously I'm not trying, I'm faking it, there's no way that you can't just see that it's this, how can you not see that? But I found that a lot of media that ended up coming out when I was growing up ended up actually starting to back up people like me, and gave me a little bit more of a self-assuredness. Like the Percy Jackson movies. Percy Jackson has dyslexia, only they turn it into a superpower because now he's able to read Greek. Unfortunately, that doesn't work like that for me, and I can't magically read Greek because I'm dyslexic. But the way that the numbers scramble for me is very similar to how when he looks at the chalkboard and tries to figure out what the hell is going on. And it's only until he starts reading Greek that things make sense. But I feel the same way when it comes to literature. I can understand literature in very complex ways, but numbers don't make any sense to me. And people like me are starting to get diagnosed a lot sooner. I know people that are just starting out in school, cousins and children of friends who are just starting out in school, and right away they're like, okay, you're starting to show signs of having trouble in this, and we can't directly diagnose you quite yet that there is a thing here, but we're going to take a look at that. We're going to further observe, and we're going to continue to have conversations with the parents of this is what's going on. Let's continue to build on this. People are getting diagnosed with autism quicker. People are getting their ADHD diagnosis quicker. People are getting all of their various learning disabilities diagnosed quicker, and then there's more being done about it. And I wish I had that growing up, but I'm glad that the conversation's being had now.
It's definitely good that it's starting to be had more. I will say, because I've also got ADHD and I had depression, like, I got a lot of help for my physical disability, right? And I got accommodations for my asthma. But for my ADHD and stuff like that, there really wasn't help. I did get treated like I was lazy. There was a definite difference. It's like there's more of a stigma in regard to mental health than there is in regard to physical health, because physical related disabilities are more like objective. You're able to see them objectively, whereas mental health is seen as more subjective. It's harder to observe. And also we have the thing that medical science has been around a hell of a lot longer than mental science has been. Like, right now our medical science is super duper advanced. We've managed to successfully do transplants with pancreas, right? But when it comes to mental health, we still don't really understand most things. We don't even know how like a lot of the mental health related medications even function. And it's basically like where our mental health is basically like where physical medicine was back when, like, we used leeches to bleed people.
So, yeah, I was going to say about 150, 200 years ago.
Yeah.
And that, I think, but even within our lifetime, there have been tremendous strides as far as that, and also within the field itself saying, hey, okay, wow, this actually functions totally different from how we thought it did. So we're going to have a professional suspension of belief and understand that we don't know many things, and we are going to do our best to help people now with the knowledge that we have, with the understanding that even 6 months from now, we may have more information that completely alters our treatment options. And I think that progression, and also that overall trend of professional humility and honesty, it's not universal, but it is becoming more prevalent, especially as younger people are entering that profession. Knowing that it's okay to be wrong, but you are going to do your best with the information that you have, and also say we are going to see if this works, and if it works well, we are going to continue to do it until it doesn't work, and we are going to see if something else works better.
I think a lot of the reason why we've seen this great leap forward in regard to mental health is because of the advent of peer support counseling and the prevalence of helping others through applying your own personal experiences with something similar, because that causes like treatment to be more tailored to actually helping, because people who've gone through something know what helps them, right? So for most of the history of mental health, it was going in that direction. That's where Freudian psychology comes from. But then mainstream psychology tried to move away from that, and it diverged so much that it caused it to be kind of broken, because they tried to make all these new different types of diagnoses and just expand the list of mental illnesses just for the sake of expanding it. And they were so focused on treating people with mental health from the perspective of them being an other. But peer support counseling returns to a degree back to Freudian psychology, and it forks off in a different direction. It takes all of the good aspects of applying your own experiences, but it makes that the core focus. It doesn't worry so much about the handbook, and instead it's based purely on your own experience. So there's not so much misinformation, and people actually like intuitively understand the problems.
And I think that the trend of having both that while working in conjunction with medical science, and having them work as a team, and having more teamwork among professionals, and being like, hey, yeah, I know we all want to get our professional accolades. We need to be publishing papers in order to get funding and so forth. But we also are working together to try and promote the well-being of our patients. I appreciate the direction that things are going in that regard as well, because
same here.
Because there was a lot of, when I was growing up, there was a lot of reason that there was so much stigma around mental health, in my opinion, is because the mental health profession was so hostile to the people that were in that profession. And the professionals were constantly having to prove themselves. And now it's still the case, but it's much less so. And I appreciate that is a direction that things are headed, and that I wouldn't say that, going back to the original question, I wouldn't say that it's necessarily normal, but it is different and it is more accepted. So there's a lot that's changed from the time that we've been kids.
Absolutely. Like, I'm going to go back to the main question that touches on it. Is mental health has been more talked about now in our age, in the 2020s, now than it had ever been growing up. I moved from the island to a brand new town. I had no friends. I had no idea what was happening. Nobody would help me. And as a 4-year-old moving out of a home away from your immediate family with just your mother, father, and your brother, and you know nobody, and they're just picking on you. You're the new kid for so long, and they're just berating how you look. You look weird. What the hell are you doing here? Go away. Your body image, your self-worth, your self-esteem just plummets in the fact that you're a 4-year-old who has no idea why these thoughts of, I want to die, why am I here, can I just stay in bed, are happening. That for myself, I didn't know what was going on. I just thought it was a normal thing that everybody wanted to die at 5 years old. we wanted out, but we're stuck here. Nobody wants us. What the hell? I didn't know that was not a normal thing until I graduated. And for me, that was horrendous because I had to go through something so prevalent as a breakdown that I finally opened up and talked to my parents about what was going on. Now, it's people want you to talk. Friends want you to talk. Are you okay? Tell me what's wrong. Are you doing fine? Do you need a hug? Though we can't hug right now thanks to COVID. And we are such physical creatures that we're finding new ways to help each other. And for those who don't understand it, are like, I really have no idea why you're asking me if I'm okay. I'm not, but why do you want to help? That type of thing. And people just genuinely care. And it's just out there now. And I think that's amazing. Our generation has become, in my opinion, the most caring generation ever. And I'm a millennial, but I also consider Gen Z a part of my generation because the older Gen Zs are just at the tail end of millennials. And they understand that, no, communication is the thing that will drive us forward.
Well, I think that a lot of that is because younger millennials, older millennials to an extent, but millennials and Gen Z grew up, or at the very least in their adolescence and onward, had the internet, which made it possible for people to communicate very quickly in real time and very succinctly and very honestly. And with all of the communication happening worldwide, the actual World Wide Web, it's not just you call your one girlfriend on a Tuesday night and you talk on the phone for half an hour. It's you have 7 different chats open at once, and you're chatting with 7 different friends, 3 of whom are in your town, the rest of whom are in different time zones. A couple of them, English isn't their first language. And having that depth and breadth of connection, I think, really shaped us and has driven our generations to continue to get better at communicating, and also has made us more compassionate because we are connecting more through the internet, and I just really, my brain went in about 5 different directions at once just now. I'm so sorry.
It's okay. But another thing I wanted to add was that
sorry.
Going back to like saying, do you need a hug? That's one thing I'm really happy with, particularly younger millennials and also Gen Z. The older millennials, it's a different story. They're going in the wrong direction. But the younger millennials and
older than me.
Yeah, I consider you to be a younger millennial, but the younger millennials and the Gen Z have been moving in a more traditional direction in regard to physical affection, right? Because
old school traditional,
proper traditional. Like a lot of people who call themselves trad, I don't consider them trad, but that's a tangent.
We've touched on that.
Anyway, so they're going in the actual traditional direction when it comes to physical affection. You're seeing a lot of the younger generations being willing to give hugs and kisses on the cheek or the forehead to show affection, even with someone who's just a friend, right? I mean, the older millennials, you see them going in the other direction where they're being all weird about hugs and stuff. Fuck them. But the younger millennials...
except not because they're weird about it.
Yeah, they're probably bad at that. But the Gen Z and the younger millennials, they have it right. They're moving back in the proper traditional direction. I want to see more people hugging, kissing on the forehead, maybe even the lips with their friends. Because physical affection is...
When it's safe.
When it's safe. Not right now.
Not now.
Don't spread the coup. The poor boomers. Wait.
No.
I don't want it.
No.
But yeah, I do really like the return to that. This return to
Kinship.
us going to our nature, because we need physical affection. It's absolutely a need. It's not a want.
There's a reason that we have a hormone that just shoots way up in our system when we have skin-to-skin contact. There's a reason for that, and there's a reason that it makes us feel good, because it's needed for our survival.
And don't let the cucks ruin it for you by saying that you have to get married to kiss or something stupid. Nah, man, kiss your friends. Do whatever. If it feels nice, do it.
Homies sometimes.
Yeah.
As long as
Kiss
it's
a
not
homie.
a pandemic.
As long as it's not in a pandemic. Maury does not endorse the spread of COVID.
Yeah.
Same with Nova. We do not condone any spread. Wear a damn mask, Karen.
For legal reasons, I don't condone it.
Internet hugs and internet kisses all the way.
Mm-hmm.
Forever. And then when it's safe, more actual, literal, physical affection.
And if you like going that direction, you can go as far as I do, because I hug my homies on the inside.
Okay,
that was
our audience cannot see the face that I just made just now. The face of just
utter disgust,
horror, and I knew you were going to say that. But why did you say that, though?
I think all of us knew. Like, Maury has her avatar. I'm also on video with Beatrix and Captain Wetbeard. So all of us gave the look of utter disgust and was like,
we fed the troll, and the troll is happy.
I was hungry. I feed on suffering and the tears of simps.
I asked you if you needed more stir fry before we got started.
No, I don't need stir fry. I need the tears. I need tears. Tears of haters. It's important.
Okay.
Well, we'll have plenty of that in the future.
I will.
Yes.
I will. It's a consistent thing that comes to me.
At any rate,
I would also say our generation has gotten into, with the thing of communication through the World Wide Web because of the pandemic, in the fact that Zoom became a huge thing. We had to communicate through the internet. We had to. And I would say getting into the habit of typing a holy crap paragraph of why you care about this person, why they're epic, why they're awesome, why they will dominate the world, just makes anybody just out of the blue, like send it out of the blue. I did that to Beatrix. I don't know what her reaction was, but I had 90
fuzzies.
Warm fuzzies.
Lots and lots of warm fuzzies, and also yes.
But you send these kinds of things to me too, and it strokes my ego and makes me feel maniacal. I love it.
Yeah, it's pretty delightful.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's
like
that's the thing. I was like, there was a thought that I had. Yeah, but it's so funny because I've seen in the work that I do as well, because I work as a freelance writer, and I pay attention a lot to advertisements that are being run on social media and so forth. And there was one ad campaign, and I really wish that I had actually taken a screenshot of the absolute tone deafness of this ad campaign. But the comments though, the top comment, the comment that had the most likes and the most comments on it, all in favor of it, were, imagine in late 2020 putting out an ad campaign that basically says that internet friends are not real friends.
Anyone who thinks that might have a learning disability.
There's learning disabilities, but then there's just being stuck in your old ways and saying, no, we need to go back to our conception of normal. And it's like, no, everything changes. And that's okay. And we need to embrace that.
Or the lack of empathy in an ad for that thing, because at that point you're attacking the people who've had internet friends for years before it became a thing.
And I think that was kind of the point, is like saying, hey, we're not those internet losers. We like actual real life interaction. We because internet friends aren't real friends. And it's like, okay, you're not relevant anymore. You have let all of us know that you're not relevant anymore. Thank you for letting us know.
I grew
The
up
amount of eye rolling that must, like, for our listeners at just that will just like turn the earth an extra spin because of how redundantly stupid that
they can't
entire
see my
thing
angry
is.
face, but my angry face is that my mouth just disappears in my beard and mustache.
Yeah.
But yeah, I grew up on 4chan. They can get fucked.
But yeah, that's the thing. It's like,
I grew up on MSN.
Noise.
That became Hotline. That became Hotmail.
I
And
was
then
from the
Facebook
MySpace
Messenger.
era.
Oh my god.
okay, live journal crew, dead journal crew.
Wow.
I'm old.
We're going to have people in the bottom comments being like, Dead Journal Crew!
Yes!
Hopefully we'll have some 4chan kids in the group. Come on, where are the butards at?
That's basically the cool thing about this entire conversation is that basically sums it all up, though, is that everything does change. Some things stay the same, but there are a lot of things that just change, and it is the horror and the beauty of life and existence. And there are some things that I would say have gone in directions that I don't particularly care for, but I'm also comfortable with the fact that with the advent of the internet and how widespread communication is, the dysfunctional changes will not stay in the dark for long.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And people are losing their tolerance for bullshit
bigotry
that doesn't work.
Mm-hmm.
I lost mine a long time ago.
Did you ever have it?
I think I did once, maybe when I was like, no, actually, no, I think you're right.
No.
Your mother has told me stories about
Yeah. I think I was mistaking it for indigestion.
I just imagine Captain Wetbeard being hatched from an egg as is.
I practically was.
That's basically it.
Also, I grew horrifyingly fast. I was like 8 months old and I looked like a 2-year-old.
Yeah.
Let's make that a chibi as
The
well.
horror-
Captain Hatching.
Yeah.
Without the beard, my face looked the same.
Yeah.
Oh my god, no. Oh my god.
It's done.
Seeing Captain Wetbeard's baby pictures, it's like some things change. Some eldritch entities are always eldritch entities, and it is glorious.
I think my dad wasn't my dad. I think he got cucked by Nyarlathotep.
Oh my gosh, it's like those Russian nesting dolls. They all look the same. They just get bigger.
That's actually accurate, because then the final form is the one with the beard, and here we are.
And also the tentacles.
Oh, I wouldn't say it's final form yet. I will let the listeners know if he has an OnlyFans. I don't think he has one right now.
Not yet.
Right now being the key word in that sentence. Come on.
Upon request, I will open an OnlyFans.
Oh my.
Yeah, you gotta show everybody that good I've seen enough hentai to know where this is going action.
Right up the butt.
Like all hentai goes.
The good ones
hentai
anyway.
Goes everywhere.
Yeah,
hentai goes anywhere that it can.
That sounds messy.
That's hentai.
That sounds glorious.
That sounds like you.
Yeah, that's yes. It's lovely. It's lovely.
Our listeners can tell we basically feed off of each other like no tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
We might as well have been friends since we were kids.
Yeah, our chemistry is so great. We could use the lab to make stuff.
Our chemist tea. Our chemist tea. All right, you need to make that in your Redbubble. A chemist tea.
Chemist
yes.
tea?
Yes,
chemist
I
tea.
would
like,
buy that.
Like a cup of tea.
Oh.
Like a cup of chemist tea. Chemist tea.
I'll make a note of that to myself.
Because that's punny and adorable.
Yeah, most of my stuff is punny and adorable.
I'll make a sticker.
And if you guys want, I do have a Redbubble already up, and it has a lot of punny T-shirts and stickers and stuff.
Yeah, and I'm sure that Nova will link all the good links in the.
Shale, fine, ma'am.
Yes.
All the shameless plugging.
All the shameless plugging in the show notes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
If you want to find our glorious foolishness in other parts of the internet, because we all occupy very different parts of the internet.
But we all also occupy Discord, but you know.
My
That
little
is-
corner
that
of
is
the
the most-
internet is a
yeah.
3-dimensional model of a kawaii goth cat, and I do goofy things while I play video games, and sometimes the captain joins, but most of the time I just make really pervy jokes and then sometimes talk about mortality.
Yeah.
And that is so and forgive me for saying this.
That's so on brand.
So wholesome. It's so wholesome and I love it.
It would be less wholesome if she talked about mortality and pervy things at the same time.
No, that is the most wholesome.
And it's so on brand.
And then meanwhile, I am a freelance writer. I am starting a YouTube channel within hopefully my first video will be going up within a few days of this episode airing. And the link to that will be in the show notes when that's available. I'm also on Instagram and I have a website. So if anybody is on their company's marketing team and is looking for a freelance writer, I know a lot of things about a lot of things and I make the words go. And that's what I do.
I'm primarily
As you can tell, she doesn't know how to stop talking.
Keyboard
No,
go.
I don't. I didn't learn that trick.
I'm pretty much a regular irregular. Like my main thing I do is I guest star on other people's stuff, but I am planning to have one of my oldest friends who I've known for like 16 years now. He's changing his Twitch and his YouTube channel to be a team channel with me. So I'll start making regular content with him. But I do mainly just go on other people's stuff. So if anybody is interested in having me have a guest appearance sometime, just hit me up.
Captain and Maury and Beatrix will more than likely be staples at the Obsidian table. Like the amount of topics we go through on just a normal daily basis through our our personal Discord is insane. We'll go from like talking about ice cream to the meaning of life, and then we'll go back to ice cream and then ramen for some odd reason,
Well,
and then we talk about our paganism and all that type of stuff. And it's
I will say though, probably at least half of the time if food is involved, I'm the one that started the conversation, because other than human biology, food is my other nerdy obsession. Just don't, if you don't want me to go on a screeching rant, never ask me what is a cheesecake.
Tell me, Bee darling, what is a cheesecake?
Nope.
Don't ask me that question.
I'm stopping it.
Oh, man. I thought you said Fuda at first.
Okay,
and I was going to say, no, if the conversation's about Fuda, I am probably the one who started the conversation.
Yes, we know. Yes, we know. So here we are.
Yeah. Like for me, it's just I give the random topics and I'll just sit here and watch the chaos brew as my I guess IRL friends here in my hometown say I'm the closet shit disturber. So I will literally just poke and prod the bear in putting things out there and see the chat just get spammed.
What a coincidence. That's what I call my dick.
The look, again. All right, we probably ought to call this episode soon, because the three of us here are feeding the troll, and
which is perfectly fine.
And the troll is just Katamari Damacying with our That might be copyrighted.
I hope I don't get monetized.
I hope you do.
Editing is a thing.
It is a thing.
Yes,
but don't worry, it's fine.
But that's not what I want to do. I sort of want to just. I just want to. All I want to edit in is like the cover art, the opening, and the ending, and then
and some
everything
minor
in
identity
between.
protection. some minor
And that
identity
time I kept
protection.
using the wrong names.
Minor.
Editing the names and things like that.
Yes,
yeah.
I'll just cut it out at some point.
But yeah, usually I'll just come on when people offer. In your case, though, you're gonna have to use the bonk stick to make me leave.
I grow on people like a rash.
Oh yeah.
I thought we have already agreed that you guys are. I'm stuck with you. You're stuck with me. You're not going anywhere. You're glued to your seats whenever I'm recording. So
I am sticky.
there. I did that. I walked into that door and he booted it off the hinges.
I thought you were gonna say you're the one that made me sticky.
No. Anyway.
Oh God. Oh God.
Yeah. The longer this goes on, the more that you will see why in any situation Captain Wetbeard is not the straight man in the comedy routine.
I'm not the straight man in the relationship, that's for sure.
Yeah, our joke is that I'm the straight man in the relationship.
Well, I'm the one who wears the skirt.
I also wear skirts.
Less often than I do.
Because screw gender norms, right?
Yeah.
All right. Anyway, this has been fun.
This has been fun.
This has
It
been
has.
fun.
Oh God. When
Editing.
people are spamming me through Discord.
Well, someone's popular.
Yeah.
Making
he-
faces that the viewers can't, or the listeners can't see.
Yeah, who knows, maybe someday later on down the line I'll put the video up along with it, be like, here's just the podcast and here's our chaos.
Yeah, one day they'll get
Enjoy.
to see me do the crab rave.
They'll get to see me without glasses. That's not a thing that people normally get to see. So there you go.
Well,
Stop it, Captain.
yeah, he's not going to stop.
Can't stop, won't stop.
As I do a little dance in my seat.
I would do that, but I might throw my hip out.
Yeah,
Hey,
that's okay, I'll
my
pop it
hips
back
are
in.
already out of alignment. I have to go see a chiropractor, so I can't throw them out any more than I already have.
Rip.
Yep.
Trash day's tomorrow here, so
I did it backwards.
that's there you go. You did it. You did it.
All
Press
right.
F to pay respects.
Well, I would like to thank you all for joining me at the table today. Thank you, Maury, Captain, Beatrix, are also
always happy
joining
to be
us.
here.
Yes,
Thank you so much for having us.
Yes.
This has been such a blast.
it has.
And we'll see you in the next one.
I hope our
Bye.
listeners learned a bit about our topic today, even though it was more of a question, not a topic.
The topic was hot.
Yes, it was a hot topic.
I resemble that remark.
Yeah, you do.
Something
You do.
Pastel goth. Okay, no, we're ending the episode. We're letting her do her outro. We're letting her do this.
Feel free to leave your comments down below. I would love to hear all your thoughts on what you think has majorly impacted society today that is now accepted, that wasn't accepted when you were growing up. Hopefully we'll be able to do this again and we'll have another great chaotic table read. Join us next Friday at the Obsidian table with all my lovely peoples here again, hopefully, for another topic hot pick. Yeah.
Yay!
All their links will be in the bio down below. I'll hope to see you guys all next time. Go take a look at Maury and her gaming and Beatrix on her writing and Captain Wetbear wherever he ends up next. Like, hopefully.
You'll probably be able to find me. You have a hat for it.
True. Thank you and see you in the stars.